Hi guys, welcome to my channel. You'll have to excuse the state of my hair. This is obviously lockdown, lack of hairdressers. I mean, this is my fringe, like it's just completely grown out. So yeah, anyway, I'm not talking about my hair, but yeah, I want to just apologise for the state of how I look. But anyway, so this video I wanted to talk about medication. So like medication for mental illness, and in my case, medication for my mental illness, anorexia, etc. So obviously, like the common medication you would think of is antidepressants, and I think there is a lot of stigma around taking medication for your mental health. I think often people will feel, embarrassed, ashamed. It's kind of thought that if you've got a problem with your mental health, you should be able to just get on with it. Whereas physical medication for physical illnesses are kind of thought of completely differently. If your doctor prescribed you antibiotics because you had an infection, you would just take it. You wouldn't really think much about it, and you'd quite happily talk about the fact you were on antibiotics. Whereas if you're on antidepressants or another sort of mental health medication, it's kind of a taboo and you don't talk about it. And why shouldn't we be able to talk about it if, having a mental illness and needing medication to help with that is absolutely no different to having a physical illness and needing medication to cope with that. Like, say, asthma. If you have asthma, you take an inhaler. There's no issue with that. People don't think anything of it yet. If you say you're on antidepressants, some people can start to think differently or think you shouldn't be on it, or I shouldn't be on it, or whatever. So yeah, back to talking about myself. So I was prescribed antidepressants during my first admission to an eating disorder unit. I was prescribed them. I didn't take them. I didn't want to take them. In my second admission, I was prescribed antidepressants. Again, I didn't take them. And it wasn't until my third and final admission that I agreed to start taking them. So often, if you have an eating disorder or anorexia, people can often have depression as well. It's a bit kind of like, what comes first? Does the eating disorder cause the depression, or does depression trigger the eating disorder? But anyway, regardless of which way round it does, some people with eating disorders will have depression as well. And I was diagnosed with depression and recommended to take antidepressants. And as I said, I didn't start taking them until my third and final admission. My reasoning for not wanting to take them are slightly different to what I've spoken about a few minutes ago about, the stigma, being embarrassed, feeling ashamed. And I think my reasoning is probably more linked to my anorexia, so people with anorexia, you may be able to relate to what I'm about to say. So I didn't want to take antidepressants because I was worried that they were going to change my thinking. Although I didn't want to be completely ruled by anorexia, but I still didn't want to lose it. And I was worried that if I took antidepressants, they would somehow change my head, change my thoughts, so that my thoughts would no longer be my thoughts, and they would manipulate my thinking, and I would lose anorexia, and I wouldn't be me, I would be this antidepressant head. And that scared me, that terrified me, which was why I refused it for years and years and years. And so I did eventually agree to take antidepressants, and that was partly because I'd kind of reached an all-time low. I was in hospital, I was really down, I was having panic attacks all the time, I was in a bad place. And I was at the point where, I'm thinking, I've got to try something, I can't carry on like this. So I did agree to start taking antidepressants, and I was persuaded to start taking them because my consultant at the time really explained it well to me. So I explained to him my fears, and so what I've just said to you, that I was scared that it would change my thoughts and that my thoughts wouldn't be my own genuine thoughts. And he explained it to me that when you have depression, you have a chemical imbalance in your brain, and the antidepressants just work to correct that chemical imbalance. So, you know, normally that would be the balance, but when you have depression, you're kind of like that. So the antidepressants work to get you back to that normal level. So it's not that the antidepressants are changing my thoughts and making my thoughts not my own thoughts. They're actually getting my own genuine thoughts back by correcting that level. And that way it was explained to me really helped me, and that, you know, made me think, actually, do you know what, I will start taking them. And I did start taking them, and I also started taking antipsychotics, which were really just prescribed to help with anxiety and kind of ruminating thoughts over and over and over again. And, you know, taking that medication, it did help. And I still take antidepressants to this day. I stopped taking the antipsychotics about a year ago now. And, you know, I don't feel any shame or embarrassment around taking them. You know, I will take them. I will take my medication. I will talk about the fact that I take my medication. And I think it's important that people do speak about these things, because there should be no shame in taking medication. Like I say, it is just correcting that imbalance in your brain, in the same way that taking your inhaler corrects that restriction in your airways. It's no different, and it shouldn't be thought of as different, but often it is. So that's why I think it's important to talk about these things. Also with anorexia and antidepressants and also antipsychotics is the fear that it will make you gain weight, because often these medications have the side effect of potentially causing weight gain, which I know puts a lot of people off. It also did put me off, but that wasn't my main reason for not wanting to take it. And actually I found that going on antidepressants made no difference to my weight, and you know, I've been on them now for over 10 years, and you know, I don't think it's had any effect on my weight, like specifically the medication itself. I have recently, so this year, changed my antidepressants, so I've switched from one to another, and that has caused a lot of side effects, like unwanted side effects, which hasn't been great. But that's not the medication itself. That was the fact that the advice I was given about switching over was wrong, and I got taken off my old antidepressant too quickly, which meant I had withdrawal symptoms. So I've had a lot of insomnia and diarrhea basically all of 2021 so far, but it is starting to settle down. And as I say, that's not the fault of the medication, that's the fault of the advice I was given about how to come off it. And in the past, I've always been someone who tries to resist taking any sort of pills. You know, if I've got headache, pain anywhere, you know, it'd be like, nope, I'm gonna power through, I'm gonna, you know, naturally fight this with my own body. I think kind of like, it's kind of linked to anorexia, where you feel like you can push through more than anything else, more than anyone else. You know, you are gonna do this, and I'm gonna fight these problems naturally. So again, that was an added reason for me not wanting to take medication for my mental illness, because I've always naturally been very anti taking anything. But now I'm at the point where I think if it's going to help me, why not take it? And yes, obviously I have now been on antidepressants for a long time, but if that is what is required to keep me stable, then I can't see any problem with that. And you know, people often think, oh, you know, you shouldn't take medication for your mental illness or whatever, but rather actually the medication, yeah, it's not a miracle cure. I totally say that, you know, it's not going to miraculously make everything better. But for me, taking the medication has helped give me the strength to fight my mental illness. And I think that is what's really important. And, you know, people often say, oh, well, it would be good not to, you know, for you to be at the point where you don't need that medication. And yeah, you know, it would be great, but it would also be good for people to be at the point where they don't need to take any sort of medication for anything, physical or mental. But you know, some people just have to take medication, and there should, as I say, there is no shame in it, in the same way that there is no shame in taking vitamins or supplements or anything for your physical health. People just don't think anything of it. But oh, God forbid you take medication for your mental illness, you're weird, you're abnormal, there's shame, there's embarrassment. But that is totally not the case, and it should be normal, it should be acceptable and normal. And as I say, I talk about it, I talk about, you know, the medication that I'm on, the medication that I've been on, to help try and break that stigma, to help try and, you know, raise awareness that it is normal. And, you know, yes, I take antidepressants, but yes, I'm also, you know, a normal person. You know, I go out to work, I have friends, I go on holiday, I do this, I do that. You know, it is just, it's normal. And it just frustrates me that it's still in this day and age that there's still some sort of stigma around it. But hopefully this video has helped in some way, or you found it interesting, or if you've been maybe doubting taking any medication, or it might have eased your concerns about it. As I said, I've had no unwanted side effects from it. It has helped me. As I say, it's not a miracle cure. It hasn't made me better or made me think, oh yes, now I'm going to fight anorexia, I'm going to be free from it. No, it's just kind of helped rationalize my thoughts, helped, you know, just in the background, you know, helped stabilize my thinking a bit. So yeah, I hope this video has been okay. I have actually done a blog about this on my website, so I'll put the link in the description box so you can read that if you want to. So yeah, please like, please subscribe. Yes, thank you for watching.